It's time now for Movie Spotlight, our weekly segment on a Friday where our film critics give us their recommendations on what to watch over the weekend among the latest releases here in Korea. And joining us now in the studio for that, first we have with us Jason Bechervaise. Jason, hello, it's great to see you.
Hello, Django.
And we also have with us Marc Raymond as well. Marc, hello, it's great to see you too.
Good to see you again.
Okay, so we have one local film and one massive Hollywood superhero blockbuster this week. But as usual, we are going to start with the local release. And it's a small independent film by director Kang Mi-ja. It's a drama called Spring Night, translated from the Korean title, Bombam. And it is the director's second feature, I understand, Jason. This is your pick.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about it? I understand that this film premiered at the Busan Film Festival last year.
Yeah, that's right. So it premiered there and then went to the Seoul Independent Film Festival and Berlin as well, which, if I'm honest, I was quite surprised about. It stars Han Ye-ri as an alcoholic who, she's basically getting very drunk at a wedding after party. She's divorced. A child was taken by the father and his new wife, and they immigrate to Canada, and so she turns to alcohol to deal with it. And at this party, she meets a man played by Kim Seol-jin, who is suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, and his marriage has also failed and is buried in debt. So he's lost everything after his wife has essentially sold all their remaining property and run off. And the pair form a connection, develop a relationship, and they find solace in each other's suffering, all very cheerful, as the female character drinks herself into oblivion. And it's directed by Kang Mi-ja. She made Let the Blue River Run.
Okay, so it's a drama featuring two desperate souls who have had failed marriages, one an alcoholic and the other suffering from an illness. I've seen the trailer as well, and it does look quite dour and grim. So not a movie for not a movie for a Friday night then.
No, not at all. I don't know, maybe I was not in the right mood for this film. But I just found it really, really depressing and dour, and I didn't think the performances were very good. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, some critics actually really responded to this film, so maybe I just wasn't the right person. It did go to some festivals. It went not to many, but it went to Berlin. So I wonder whether if I revisit it, I'll think differently. But saying at the time, I was not responding to it. I wasn't connecting with it, I mean,
what was it that wasn't working for you? Just too grim, too down?
Oh no, I watch Korean films all the time. As someone who follows Korean cinema, you have no choice but to watch a lot of Korean movies. I have no problem with its tone. It's just it was just so, I don't know, just focused on making these characters just clearly as depressed as they possibly could. And it doesn't really delve into, the complexities, beneath their struggles. I suppose they do talk about it, but it's kind of that thing where they're expressing it through their performances. But I didn't think their performances were that good. That's the problem. And I'm someone who absolutely adores Han Ye-ri. I think she's fantastic as an actress. I've seen her in some great films over the years. She's in Hemu and many others, independent films, commercial titles, and I really admire her. But here, I just didn't. I didn't think she was particularly great, and I hope she's not listening and hates me forever. But there you go. She was in the director's earlier film.
Okay. So unfortunately, not a fan.
No,
of the
but
film.
I would stress that others have responded to it, and although I think critics these days in the local industry, they seem to be less critical than they used to be, because there's not that much out. So every film, every film that comes out is like, let's not tear it apart, and so the reaction has been better than I was expecting.
Okay, Marc, what about you? Did you manage to catch this film?
I didn't actually. Normally, I would have seen this film in Busan, but I didn't go to Busan last year for the first time in many years.
Okay.
I'm intrigued to watch it, even though I'm sure. I mean, Jason's description makes it sound quite depressing, but as Jason said, we're used to watching depressing independent movies. So even for scholarly purposes, I probably will check it out at some point. I would like to kind of see it.
Where do you think that comes from? This sort of local indies?
I don't know if it's only local. I mean, I think independent cinema generally, because it is trying to differentiate itself from Hollywood or like kind of escapist films, tend to just deal with subject matter that mainstream films don't want to deal with, and oftentimes that is darker, kind of more depressing subject matter. The better of those films can add a bit of, entertainment value, or at least tension and satire, like something like some humor or some things to kind of offset that. But you see that with a lot of the better of the independent films, like something like House of Hummingbird is depressing, but has a lot of more optimistic moments or character relationships that have a bit of emotion.
That's just a lot more alluring. You're just kind of pulled into the story. For me, it just didn't work at all. Okay. Within like the first 5 minutes, I want to turn this off. Yeah. It is really short though. It's not very long. So that's at least it's a kind of short experience where you have to suffer. But I think Marc would enjoy it more than I did. I've got a feeling he would maybe see it a bit differently.
It's not a compliment, I don't think.
Well, intriguing nonetheless. So that was Spring Night, out now in select cinemas here in Korea. Let's continue on to our second film now, and this is the big release of the week. It is the latest Superman film, simply titled once again Superman. Now, this is the first film since director James Gunn took creative control over the DC Comics cinematic universe, and is a relaunch essentially for DC. It stars a new actor in the lead role, David Corenswet. And Marc, this was your selection this week. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, as you kind of mentioned, this is another Superman film that is again rebooting this kind of franchise. We've had kind of recently, there was the Zack Snyder kind of trilogy of films with Henry Cavill in the lead role. That was in the 2010s. Those films came out. There was a 2006 film by Bryan Singer, Superman Returns. And then going back to the 70s and 80s and my childhood, there was Christopher Reeves and those Superman films that were in some ways kind of the beginning of this comic book superhero franchise blockbuster kind of films. And so this, so we have all these adaptations, all this history. So James Gunn, who did the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, and this film has a lot of that feel and DNA kind of to it. He kind of smartly avoids actually a lot of exposition. I think he kind of assumes the audience knows the legend, they've seen or are familiar with Superman to some extent. So he kind of plunges right in. Superman and Lois Lane are already dating. She already knows he's Superman at the beginning of the film. And the film actually starts with Superman suffering a defeat, which I think is a smart kind of move. That's the very beginning. Like the movie kind of has a bit of the feel of the original Star Wars. It has like a bit of a crawl and then like plunges you right into the story. And again, because we kind of assuming the audience, has a knowledge. So it kind of starts with Superman seemingly kind of vulnerable, not the kind of Man of Steel, invincible character of his reputation. And it also has Lex Luthor as the main kind of villain, as familiar. And he's now this kind of tech bro who's mastered technology and kind of, it's not called AI in the film, but has definitely AI kind of similarities to basically this superhuman technology that gives him an edge on Superman that he wouldn't have otherwise. And so the conflict does have some real kind of stakes to it. There's a lot of real world kind of parallels, which I'll kind of get to as well. But also like James Gunn's films, there's a lot of lighter humor as well, especially involving Superman's dog. Again, not unlike the Guardians kind of films, trying to mix that kind of humor in with the kind of the action kind of set pieces and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, so I know superhero films aren't typically your thing, but you did sit through this one for us. What did you make of it then? What did you make of this latest addition to the franchise? How does it compare to other Superman films?
Yeah, I quite liked it actually. I haven't seen the Zack Snyder films just because they weren't particularly. They're very divisive. Like some people do like them, other people don't. They never seemed like something I would be interested in, so I just never caught those. So the last Superman movies I've seen some TV stuff, are the Christopher Reeves Superman and Superman 2, which are from like 1980.
Wow, okay.
So it's been a long time since I've seen Superman on. And I think this film tries to get at some of the original, those films with Christopher Reeves. I think Corenswet's performance is trying to get at that. But it's also adding a lot of these, again, real life parallels. There's a criticism of the kind of mega anti-immigration stance, since Superman is technically an alien, right, from another planet, country slash. And so there's that. There's clear Israel-Palestine parallels, which was, I think, a little surprising to me, but you can't really ignore the parallels there. And I think kind of anti-Israeli, anti-American foreign policy, which is going, I mean, the film is going to be controversial in America for that reason. It's already getting some flack from, right-wing pundits already in America.
Wow, okay.
So I kind of admired that the film brings in some of that because it adds a bit more to the film than your typical superhero film. It does clash with the tone at times because we go from these very, frankly, silly, but not in a bad way, but kind of very light comic kind of scenes with like the dog and things like that, to like scenes that have genocidal overtones to them. So it is quite kind of, can be a bit jarring that way. But overall, I think it kind of works. It gets, I think it gets the Superman character quite well, especially the Superman character almost as a symbol, not of like superhumanness necessarily, but have, maybe our better nature, like that kind of idea of Superman representing humanity's, better impulses, let's say. And so, and obviously that's kind of a fantasy / utopia, given like the real world kind of parallels we're seeing, but it is its own kind of, let's say, I don't know, escapism is the right word here, but it's its own kind of utopian idea that, we're going to see a movie where we confront the real life problems, but there is kind of a solution that isn't maybe in our real world, where our real world, these problems still exist. And I think the film even acknowledges that these things are still, aren't completely solved, but they at least are saying, well, here is a path forward to at least making things better by kind of trying to get away from the kind of darker impulses that, the movie also has critiques of social media and these kind of things as well. And through the Lex Luthor character. And all the performances are quite good, especially Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. He's quite good. And Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. So yeah, overall, I was pleasantly surprised by the film. I think there's a lot to it, and it's an entertaining. It's not overly long. It's about 2 hours, which is short for a superhero movie these days. So yeah, overall, I would definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Really interesting. Yeah. Wow, so it's more than just superheroes and villains punching each other in the air then. Jason, what about you? Did you catch this one, and what did you think? You've previously talked about how there's superhero movie fatigue.
Yeah.
Does this film manage to overcome that?
I did see it. Yeah, I think it definitely veers away from the origin story. That's immediate from the very word go. I think that's welcome. I think it does have some layers to it. Marc's mentioned about, US foreign policy. I mean, just, some of the other conflicts in the world that are happening right now. And yeah, no, it's a lot of fun as well. I mean, it's a blast in places. It never takes itself too seriously. There's definitely Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, given the director. But yeah, I had a good time. It was enjoyable. It was layered. Like I say, it has substance to it. It wasn't like every other superhero film we've seen. I agree that it was a bit jarring in places, and so the tone didn't always work, but at the same time you could argue, well, at least he's doing something differently here, and in that sense it was refreshing. And I think there's also an effort to not kind of move too away from the superhero kind of template and do something completely wacky and insane. It's not that at all. This is still very much, the set pieces, there's a bit of Marvel in there, it's not radical. And they worry about the fans a lot. So, but there's enough in there to please film critics like us and those who want to see something a bit fresher. And I think that's very much the case here.
Very interesting. Well, that's Superman, out now in cinemas here and in most territories around the world, I understand. Mm-hmm. Finally, Jason, before we go, I just want to get your thoughts on some figures that emerged this week as well, on how the industry performed in the first half of 2025 here in Korea. And it's not good news.
No, it's not. So 42.5 million admissions in the first half of 2025, lowest on record. So since KOFIC, Korean Film Council, started recording box office figures through their centralized system in 2004, significantly down on last year. Last year was 62.9 million. No 10 million admissions so far this year. And being in Bucheon, there's a real sense of let's be honest, an existential crisis. And just scrolling through the news wires, there's just not a lot of news when it comes to films. It's quite scary. And so there's a lot of hope that the new administration takes the situation seriously. There was a new culture minister, I think, announced today. The government has announced coupons worth 27.1 billion won. So that's 4.5 million coupons. So people can watch movies at a discount, so 6,000 won. And Culture Day, which I think there needs to be a lot more awareness of Culture Day, which basically is half-price tickets anyway on the last Wednesday of each month. And if you put those two discounts together, that's basically a movie for 1,000 won. Bargain. So hopefully we can have lots of films out during the summer. There's a few tentpoles. But the industry is not in a good place right now, and financing is just not happening. Venture capital funds are not, they're pulling out, and the studios, CJ only have 2 films, and we're seeing 2 studios merging, so Lotte and Plus M, but with that merger, things inevitably are put on hold. So it's just, the industry's not in a great place, so bit worrying, but hopefully the industry can hang in there. That being said, there are 1 or 2 good news, bits of good news. There's Noise, which is a horror film which I haven't seen, and I'm going to watch it this weekend.
Which reviewed last time.
Yeah, Darcy reviewed last week. That is looking to become the 7th film to make a profit this year. So films are breaking even, but they're all kind of mid-sized budget. And the Korean Film Council have announced funds to support lower budget films. So there are measures in place, but we need more investment and more people to go out to see movies, and then hopefully things will be okay.
Okay, that is, we're going to wrap it up for Movie Spotlight. Jason, Marc, thank you for your reviews, and we'll catch up with you guys again next time.
Take care.
Take care.